Hey, everybody, welcome back to the channel that takes you deep inside the San Francisco 49ers. I am your host, Jack Hammer. I'm here at Levi Stadium, where today the 49ers had their first practice of training camp for the 2023 season. It was a quick one, not very many reps for everybody. We'll get through it today in helmets only. The team will get into shoulder pads. It looks like Monday will probably be the first day of shoulder pads will come on. So the other thing that was big today, day one of the 49ers quarterback competition. Yes, there's no Brock Purdy on the field yet. We had Trey Lance and Sam Darnold on the field, though. The two of them splitting reps with the first team. So let's get right into it. I want to shout out Jedi, who's over in the comment section as well. Says, let's go hammer time. Here we go. This is one of the best times of the year. If you follow this channel, for me, now that we are into the season, we are into training camp, this is the time of the year that I love. I love to come up here, be able to report to you guys what's going on. I'm a huge football guy. The whole process of what it takes to become an NFL player, putting a team together, watching the players, watching the coaches, and just watching this whole thing come together. It's one of my favorite parts of the year. And we'll get through training camp every day. I will be here at Levi Stadium with practice. I will also be out in Vegas with the team when they travel out there to take on the Raiders for a couple days ahead of the preseason opener. As I said, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, they were the ones out on the field today. They split reps with the starting offensive line. Tomorrow, we will get Brock Purdy on the field with the expectation that he will be the one taking all of the reps with that first team offensive line. So before we get too far along, let's get right into it. Let's take a look at Trey Lance's day. Let's take a look at Sam Darnold's day, and we'll even get into Brandon Allen as well, because Kyle Shanahan singled out Brandon Allen as somebody who he wanted to get reps for based on his performance during OTA. So let's get started, though. Trey Lance. It's been the talk all off season. Trey Lance working with quarterback coach Jeff Christensen, somebody new, working with Patrick Mahomes back before OTAs and minicamp. And I'm just going to say this. All of the work that Lance has put into this offseason to get ready for this time of the year, I had some doubts a little bit during OTAs and minicamps, but today he looked solid, and it definitely showed all the work that Lance has put in, and that's great for the 49ers. Coming into his third season, Lance today looked confident, and one of the main things is that he showed more touches on his passes than we've seen from him previously. Actually, Deebo Samuel mentioned that to us after practice in his press conference as well. But some of the throws from Lance, probably his best throw of the day, wasn't even a completion. I'll get into that one, a little bit more later on. But you look at the passes from Lance today, the touch that he was able to put on those right from the first throw of team drills today. A nice ball out to his left side. It was off of play action to Ty Davis Price on the left. He was running up the left side. Just a really nice ball. Lance was able to layer that right in, just put it right on the running back's hands for a nice big gain. And throughout, you look at it, and not only that one, but you look at his numbers overall from a passing standpoint today. Lance only threw 9 passes, whether it was in team or 7-on-7. I put all those numbers together for the result. So today, Trey Lance, first day one of training camp, he finished 6 of 9 today. Now, of those 3 incompletions that he threw, 2 of them were solid pass breakups by the 49ers defense. So it wasn't like he was just lucking into this, and it's also not like he was just throwing everything underneath. There were some underneath balls, but there were also a couple that went further down the field. It was a really nice day for Trey Lance, and one of the plays that I was going to save for a little bit later, but it has to do with Brandon Ayuk. It was a third down, and they're backed up, third down, third and long, and he threw a nice out route to Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk had tight coverage from Diameter Lenore, and the ball was put basically in a place where only Ayuk was going to be able to get it. It was a little bit high, so it wasn't like right on the money, but that's okay. Ayuk was able to go up, get his hands on the ball, and be able to take that thing away from Diameter Lenore for a really nice first down conversion. But that was a nice ball, I felt, from Lance that we saw today. Uh, Another one is one of his incompletions. One of the balls that I think was his best ball of the day was actually a route to Deebo Samuel, throwing that to Deebo Samuel, and it was one in which he was trying to get over the top of the linebacker, over the top of Fred Warner, all pro Fred. And as Deebo Samuel said after practice, you can't throw that ball any better. It's just one of those things where you're dealing with Fred Warner, and Warner is so good against the pass. He was able to drop into the passing lane and basically just barely got his finger on it, knocked the ball away. But that was it was a good read on Lance's part to take that shot, and it was a really nice defensive play. So overall, when you look at Lance's day to day, it's hard to really come away with anything where you try to knock him for any of it, what his former performance looked like here on day one. In addition to what he did with his arm, Lance also showed off his ability to move and make things happen with his legs. There was one time where he dropped back to pass, had some pressure up the middle, slid out to his right, looked downfield to try to buy some time. There was nothing there, so he took off up the sideline for a nice gain, probably about 8 yards before he stepped on the sidelines. But a really nice, again, that's a really good example of Lance. He's not a guy who's going to usually just jump out of the pocket at the first sign of pressure. Usually he's trying to throw the ball. He's not going to just take off with his legs. This time on this one, good example of it, takes off, gains a couple of yards. So it was a really nice, overall, you look at Lance's day, like I said, it was a really nice day. 6 of 9, completing passes at all different levels of the field, working different areas. So it was a good thing, good day today. I felt for Trey Lance, good start for Lance, and so we'll see how this progresses as we go throughout this off season and this training camp period. Now on to Sam Darnold. This is an interesting one because this was, as we saw during OTAs and minicamp. If you followed my reports throughout that period, I kind of kept mentioning how Sam Darnold and Trey Lance were very similar. There wasn't much separation between the two. I know it's just day one, but they were very similar again today. As I mentioned, Lance was 6 of 9. Sam Darnold today, 5 of 8. And like Lance, Darnold had two of his 3 incompletions come as a result of passes getting batted down. One of those bat downs coming from D. Winters. Another one, I don't have the information right in front of me, but there was another one. I believe it was a really tight coverage by Charvarius Ward, which led to an incompletion on another one. So overall, again, Darnold, it was an okay day. I wasn't as impressed with Darnold as I was with Lance today. With his throws, most of Darnold's completions were more of the underneath variety. Like I said, he's 5 of 8 on the day. 3 of those 5 completions coming during a quick 7-on-7 portion where he was 3 of 4. So when we got into the team periods, he was just 2 of 4. But you look at it, like I said, most of his completions came on the underneath throws. However, he did have a couple of times where he went down the field and he did air it out. One of those in particular was during team, facing 3rd and long. He drops back to pass. He has Brandon Ayuk open over the middle, coming from his right to his left. Nice opening over the middle, and he puts it right on him for a big completion and a big conversion. So that was a nice ball from Sam Darnold. He also took a deep shot down the right sideline to Danny Gray Jr., something that we haven't seen a lot of, but did take a deep shot to Danny Gray. Gray had got behind the defender. The ball was right on the money from Sam Darnold, but Talanoa Hufanga, coming from center field, made a hell of a play on the ball, got over and knocked the ball away. If you're an older guy like me and you remember the play that Ronnie Lott made against the Los Angeles Rams in the NFC Championship game following the 1989 season, that's kind of what this one looked like. It was right at the last second. Hufanga got over there, knocked the ball away with his left hand. Really nice play. But the other thing about Sam Darnold's day today, as a big truck goes by, the other thing about Darnold's day today was he was, again, similar to Lance. He showed off his running ability. For Darnold, it was on a designed run. He took off around the left side, picked up a couple of yards before he got touched down. But again, both these guys, very similar numbers, 6 of 9, 5 of 8. If things continue to progress the way they are, if this training camp continues to go the way that it is, Trey Lance will beat out Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold needs to perform better than Trey Lance if he is going to beat him out. You don't beat a guy out by performing at the same level as the other guy. That's been one of the things I've said in the past about Trey Lance and where he was in terms of not being able to beat out Jimmy Garoppolo. I think right now we are seeing that right with Sam Darnold in this competition that he's having with Trey Lance. He needs to be better. If he's at the same level, he's not going to beat him out. The Notorious GAV says, Jack, congrats on getting to cover the Niners full-time, my guy. Nobody deserves it more. Thank you very much, Gav. Yeah, it's great. This is the first time I've been able to come up here to training camp, not have to be worrying about checking anything out, and other than being able to focus on practice. So be able to bring you guys all of my attention, focus here on practice, and be able to give you guys full reports every day. And that's part of the reason also why I get to go out to Las Vegas this year. So looking good for that as well. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Gav. Uh, John B wants to know, how does Sam manage to get sacked on the first day of camp? Hey, I'm glad you asked, because that's actually one of the positive things that I wanted to talk about today. Sam managed to get sacked on the first day of camp because Colin Farrell did a really nice job of getting around the edge. The pocket collapsed around him, and there was good coverage down the field. Wasn't anywhere to go, and you get a sack out of it. It was, again, 49ers defense, good coverage down the field. Colin Farrell, the free agent acquisition, getting around the left side of the 49ers offensive line. I believe it was the second offensive line, but don't I'm not 100% certain on it, but he was able to get around the left tackle, and between that and the pressure that they had coming up the middle and around the right side, you got the sack. So there you have it. That's how Sam Darnold manages to get sacked on the first day. It's just a matter of, hey, sometimes the defense is going to win. He didn't get sacked in the matter of, like, getting grabbed and taken down, but the pressure was there. He got touched. That's the end of the play. Hey, Moses, good to have you on board. He says, Jack, it's been a long time. Why is Ambry Thomas still on the team? Seemed like the reports are he's getting cooked. I don't know if he got cooked today. I don't think he did at all, but Ambry Thomas is still here. He was a draft pick. He's working his way, trying to get on a team, but we're not sure what's going to happen there. I think he's on one of those deals where it's a tough climb for Ambry Thomas to make this roster. You look at who they have around him. We have Jedi saying Womack watch. That's one of them. You've got Samuel Womack as another guy. So the 49ers are deep in the secondary. I think the 49ers secondary, especially with Steve Wilkes taking over that defensive side of the ball, spending time in that defensive backs room, something that Talanoa Fonga said he wasn't used to, right? Because they've had linebacker coaches as their defensive coordinator throughout his first 2 years here in San Francisco. Now you've got a guy who's a defensive back-minded coach, and there you have it. So that is the kind of the direction that they're going. But Sam Womack is a guy who didn't do anything today to stand out, but he is working through. And I believe we have a number change for Samuel Womack as well. Samuel Womack in his first season was number 26. He has changed his number to number 0. Also, Isaiah Oliver, he is number 26. And our guy, Deshaun Jameson, the undrafted rookie free agent out of Texas, who I've been pretty high on, and I think has a potential to make the team at the end of the back end of that secondary group. He also changed his name. He is number 22. So a couple of things there. Curtis wants to know, Jack, how do you manage to memorize every detail? Do you write things down, or do you use a digital recorder? It's crazy the way you say everything. Much respect. Thank you, Curtis. No, I've got notes. This is my little handy dandy notepad. All the scribble you see are all the plays. So every play that occurs, I'm making notes down where the ball went to, what it looked like. Just based off, I don't write everything down, but I can look at, that's why I do this. I write these notes down because I can go back to it. I don't know. I can go back to it and I have a pretty good memory just by looking at what the result was of what took place on that play. And it's also a good thing that it just happened today. But ask me in about a week what happened on day one. Play number 3 from Trey Lance to Ty Davis Price. I'll probably be able to still read it out to you. But thanks, Curtis. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Yes, we did have a fumble from Jordan Mason today. Going over the left side, running off tackle to the left side, ran into a pile, dropped the ball, bounced, came back up to him, though, so the Flyers recovered it. But he did put the ball on the ground, which isn't like him. So that'll be something that we'll have to keep an eye on moving forward. Now let's get to it. Now let's get back to where we were. So there's the first 2 quarterbacks. We talked about Sam Darnold. We talked about Trey Lance. Again, Lance, a good day, 6 of 9. Darnold, not too bad himself, 5 of 8. Then we get to Brandon Allen. He struggled today. He was able to complete just 1 of 5 attempts on the day. Not very many reps for him. Was not a good day. He was one of those guys. Allen was a stand-up performer, like I mentioned during the off-season sessions that we're here for. But he struggled late on as we got into mini camp. He began to struggle. Those struggles carried over here for day 1 of training camp today. Again, just 1 of 5 for Brandon Allen on the day. Now, into the backfield. We just had a mention the fumble by Jordan Mason. I got to shout out Ty Davis Price. If you watch this channel, you watch most of what I've said over the last year. I haven't been a big proponent of Ty Davis Price. I felt like last year, for a guy his size, the things that he did at LSU, it didn't translate into year one with the 49ers. But I'll tell you if what we saw on the field today continues on, the 49ers are going to get something out of Ty Davis Price this year because he looked like a totally different player on the field for the 49ers here on the first day of training camp. The second year back, talked about, the issues that I saw from him last year. Today, he consistently exploded through the hole over and over again. Every time he touched the ball, it was just explosiveness through the hole. And then on top of that, we got to see his hands on that one reception from Trey Lance early in team period. So a really good day out of Ty Davis Price. Really liked what I saw there. If he can continue this kind of a camp throughout, if he can continue to be that consistent guy, the 49ers are going to have to find a way to get him on the field this season. That's a good problem to have, especially when you have Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell, and Jordan Mason also in your backfield. Ty Davis Price showing out today, looked really good. Christian McCaffrey did not participate in the team portion of practice. He was on hand. He went through the individual stuff, sat out the team portion. Kyle Shanahan talking about Christian McCaffrey being on a little bit of a pitch count early on in camp. There's no reason to rush him. They don't want him to practice every 3 days. So, no practice today. There was also no practice for Brock Purdy, although he was on the field. As you might have seen some videos from some of the folks that got into the facility before they allowed the media in. Some of the fans in the stands were able to get a glimpse out of Brock Purdy taking some snaps. So that's a positive there. We weren't able to get video of that, but some of the folks up in the stands, who the rules are a little bit different for them, they were able to do that. So good stuff there. Let's see. I do not think that Ty Davis Price looked lighter. I just think that he just looked more explosive. He looked like the same guy in terms of how, the build and those types of things. So, I'm not sure on that. I don't know about lighter, but he definitely looked more explosive. That's a big positive for Ty Davis Price. And again, I've been hard on in my criticism towards him. So it was good to see that out of Ty Davis Price today. Buddy Moles wants to know about Nick Bosa. Bosa's not here. He's still out. I think he's still in Florida. I'm not sure exactly where he is, but I know he's not in Santa Clara. The 49ers don't expect him to be here until they get a new deal with him. They don't expect him to be around. So we'll see how that works out. Mentioned this yesterday, and I'll say it again. For the 49ers, here's the thing with Nick Bosa. The 49ers need Nick Bosa more than Nick Bosa needs the 49ers. Nick Bosa has plenty of money right now to live a nice, long, peaceful life. The 49ers, to have a successful season this season and beyond, they need Nick Bosa much more than he needs them. So let's see how this all plays out. As far as tipping plays, Andrew, no. Come on now. No tipping of plays from Trent Williams. That was a lot of fun, though. Good work from my buddy Jesse on locating that last year, but I don't think it's a big deal there. Gav wants to know what's the score at right tackle, who's getting the reps. We've been reporting on this all off season that the 49ers are very high on Colton McKivitz. So I wouldn't expect to see that change unless something crazy happens. But right now, Colton McKivitz, I would say, is probably going to be your week one starter for the 49ers at that right tackle spot. I think you're going to see Trent Williams. And then you got the killer bees in the middle, Banks, Brendel, and Burford. And I think you're going to have Colton McKivitz out at right tackle with a couple of veterans backing that group up with guys like John Feliciano. He's going to be a backup interior guy. Nick Zakel, I think, will be a backup. Same thing with, I think, at tackle, Matt Pryor has a really good shot at being the backup swing tackle. He's going to competition with Jalen Moore, I believe, for that position. So that's where we are right now. It's day one. Day one, Colton McKivitz looking good, as you would expect from the 49ers. Have been really good on getting everybody ready. Andrew wants to know if Kyle Shanahan knows who I am. I don't think so. Kyle Shanahan probably has no idea who I am. Part of the, he's got a bunch of people in there to ask questions. I'm usually a little bit more on the quiet side. I have some questions written down usually when I go in. Typically, everybody gets those asked before it becomes my turn to bring it up. But anyway, it's still it's a good deal. And I had a good one for him yesterday. I wanted to ask about Trey Lance, and then something specific about Lance in the starting position, and I probably should have done it anyway. but he had already said that the those reps for the ones were going to be going to Brock Purdy, whoever that guy is. So we'll see Brock Purdy on the field tomorrow. Yay, Jesse! Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Got my monetization back. I did. I got it. I had lost it there. I got it back right before the start of OTAs and mini camps. So I've had it most of the summer, but I had a little bit of a break. The nice part about it is I have to thank you very much for the help that you gave me, the tips that you gave me, along with some of the other questions and help that I got from other folks that I was reaching out to. Was very helpful. So appreciate your assistance and best of luck with you on everything. And I'm looking forward to hearing. I know you're coming out. I talked to Grant today, was checking on your schedule. So look forward to seeing you out here as well. Let's see what else we got. Jake Moody didn't do anything worth a high pick today other than pretend that he was a punter. Remember, they didn't have Mitchell Wishnowsky. He's out right now due to the back injury. So Jake Moody, nothing today other than acting like he was a punter. All of the field goals were from Zane Gonzalez today. He missed one, hit the upright on the right side, hit a couple of other ones. But I think we're going to see more of Jake Moody tomorrow. They're kind of doing some rotation there. The 49ers are one of the few, you compare the 49ers practice schedule to, for example, the Philadelphia Eagles. I saw a report from one of the 49ers, the Eagles beat writers, where in the first 14 practices of training camp, the Eagles are only practicing full go 9 times. They're going to have 5 walkthroughs. Out here with the 49ers, it's the same practice every day. They might minimize the reps some here and there, but it's full go all the time. Kyle Shanahan today, though, talking about trying to watch the reps for some of those guys. So we'll see how it goes. And I think we'll see Jake Moody booting the ball here soon. And the thing with Jake Moody, when you get a chance, it's going to be, I think you guys are going to like what you see. We'll see how it works out. I need to do a show with Rob. Haven't done. Here's the thing, guys. I've changed up my stuff on the channel. Don't do very many live shows anymore. With everything going on between the writing and trying to have a life with the family, I've kind of narrowed it down. I feel like the niche of giving you guys quick hits on a regular basis seems to work really well. But I will be doing more live shows now that we are getting into the season. Definitely be doing live reports every day from training camp here. And I'll be putting in some live shows with other folks as well. Mostly, though, most of my focus during training camp is going to be on just these live reports here and little bits and pieces as they come in terms of news. So definitely something to come up, and I'll be getting together with Rob. We'll figure out a schedule for the season, I promise you. We've talked a couple of times. Kalen LeBourne, did he stand out? I wouldn't say that he stood out, but he looked good. He's a nice back. Definitely fighting for a spot. You look at I talked already about how good Ty Davis Price looked today. If Ty Davis Price continues to look as good as he did today, it's going to be hard for a guy like Kalen LeBourne to make this team, especially with Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason and all the other guys I talked about. Maybe they trade. They'd make them do a trade with Elijah Mitchell or something like that, but we'll see. We'll see how that works out. And then we got a super chat here from Holland Tracy. Says, do you think Purdy getting 2 days of first team and Lance getting alternating the third day is a good idea? For Brock Purdy, it's a good idea, right? Because they're going to keep him under the same throwing plan that he's been on. You heard what Kyle Shanahan said yesterday. The plan is that they're going to be doing 2 days on, 1 day off for about the first 2 weeks of camp, which is right around August 9th, 8th, right in that ballpark, which just happens to be right about the 5-month mark from when his surgery took place. 5 months is about what I expected it to be. So he's actually was ahead of my schedule. I was wrong. I thought it was going to be mid-August before we saw Brock Purdy. But we're going to see him on the field tomorrow, throwing the ball around a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like. If it's today, it won't be too much throwing in terms of in team reps, but we'll see how that goes. I think you might be getting a little more towards the Lance and Darnold piece with this. I'm not a big fan of the way that they rotated today, where they were kind of rotating back and forth. But here's the thing, especially right now and throughout most of training camp, whether you're working with the first team or the second team, the quarterbacks, even if you're the third team quarterback, you're going to be working with starting wide receivers at times, right? So like today, when we talk about first team reps for Lance, first team reps for Darnold. They both got first team reps because both Lance and Darnold took reps with the starting offensive line. Typically, what happens is that the offensive line stays the same. The for the first group and the second group and the third group, the quarterbacks will work with that group. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I find it interesting that Lance and Darnold are splitting those quote starter reps on the days uh, that Brock Purdy isn't here. We'll see how long that plays out. Um, I'm not sure how this is all going to go. Um, I'll just leave it with this: Lance had a better day than Darnold today. That's really all that matters. As this thing, it's going to play itself out. We have a long ways to go. Something that I talked about all the time last year at this time, right? When I'd have a negative report and something, I kept telling you, don't worry, it's a beginning of January. We still got a month and a half before we get to the season. Right now, we have about a month and a little bit more than a month and a half before week one. So long ways to go with this thing. These quarterbacks are going to get tons of reps. Um, as Kyle Shanahan said the other day, even with Purdy missing a couple of reps, a couple of days over these next first 2 weeks, because of their program with them, he's going to get more reps before week one than he got last year. He's going to go into the season with more preparation than what he got last year. So that's a positive there. So those are the questions there. Let me get back to a little bit of what we saw today. So I talked about the quarterbacks, talked about Ty Davis Price, Brandon Ayuk. Got to talk about Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk's coming off of a season, the first 1,000 yard season of his career, and he looked really good today. He looks like he's ready to just continue to climb. The numbers for Ayuk, I'm not sure if they're going to keep increasing just because of the 49ers passing game and the ball having to go to Deebo Samuel and George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure how many opportunities he's going to get. But as a playmaker, Brandon Ayuk is still that guy. He's still extending. Fourth year this now with the 49ers, and today he had a couple of big plays. One of them to help Lance convert on third and long. I mentioned that one was the one in which he got up and took the ball away from Diamador Lenore. He got 3 plays later. He did the same thing for Sam Darnold, moving the sticks there. A much easier throw, wide open over the middle. Darnold getting it in there to Ayuk. A couple of big plays though for Brandon, and he's looking really good. So is Deebo Samuel. That's the other one, right? Last year at this point, Deebo Samuel wasn't even practicing. He was still dealing with his contract dispute with the 49ers. And in his own words, this off he's characterized his 2022 season as just awful. And I don't know if it was awful, but it wasn't up to where he was in 2021. He looks much better. He looks like he's in a much better shape. He looks much quicker. Samuel himself noted that he feels lighter and quicker on his feet than he did last year. Today, he just had 1 catch on 3 targets. One of those was really tight. One of those incompletions was really tight coverage from Charvarius Ward. The other was the pass breakup from Fred Warner. And then the one good one where he was open was the completion. So Deebo Samuel, though, looking strong and looking like he's going to be back to where he was in 2021. And you get Deebo Samuel back there. You get Christian McCaffrey healthy. You get Brandon Ayuk, and you get George Kittle, and you get that offensive line playing well, and this 49ers offense, yeah, it's going to be really good, I think. We'll see how it all plays out, but I think this 49ers offense has the potential to be top level. Let's switch this up a little bit. We've been talking about offense throughout pretty much. Got to get to Fred Warner. All-pro Fred showed off his range when he went back, and like I said, you had that route to from Sam Darnold to not from Sam Darnold, excuse me, from Trey Lance to Deebo Samuel. Crossing route, gaining depth. That's what where the reception was supposed to be to Deebo Samuel, and Lance or Warner just doing a really nice job getting back, continuing the drop, and then that ball. Like I said, that could not have been a better throw from Trey Lance. It was an incompletion. The ball gets knocked away, but it shows up as an incompletion on the stat sheet. So it's an incompletion, but it was also a really nice read, and it was a nice ball by Lance. It would have been right on target. The only way that's a completion, maybe is if he isn't as perfect with the throw and he puts that where it's got to be caught up here, right? And so the receiver's going to have to jump up for it. That's about the only way that's a better throw from Trey Lance. But and again, Fred Warner, though, making the play. Again, 49ers defense is going to help them carry the day. Fred Warner showing it there. And we saw the same thing from Talanoa Hufanga on a deep throw from Sam Darnold to Danny Gray. I think I mentioned this one earlier, which is a deep route down the right sideline. Hufanga was in the middle of the field. According to Kyle Shanahan, what he heard from the coaches was that Darnold did a good job of trying to keep the safety in the middle of the field. He held him there with his eyes as long as he could before turning and throwing. But Hufanga just making a play on the ball and really showing his range. And Hufanga was an All-Pro last year. He's a playmaker. Spends his time, working with Troy Polamalu in the offseason. Hufanga is a guy who was a playmaker in college. He was a playmaker. So far, he's been a playmaker with the 49ers. He made a really nice one today. So that's Talanoa Hufanga. And then Charvarius Ward, another member of the 49ers, back half of the 49ers defense. The corner struggled a little bit with his health during the offseason, during the offseason workouts, but he looks healthy. He looked like he was ready to go today. He looked quick during the individual drills. And then you get into the team period, and he was all over Deebo Samuel on a short route early on, knocking that one away that I mentioned. And he's just looking really solid. The 49ers starting defense is going to be nails. If these guys stay healthy with Charvarius Ward, Yamado Lenore, Hufanga, Gibson, Greenlaw, all that group, they get Nick Bosa in here. This 49ers defense is going to be tough. And so it'll be fun to watch how this whole thing plays out. But it was a good first day for those three. Spencer Waggy as well. He's the undrafted rookie free agent. He continues to be impressive. He's more of an interior defensive lineman than he was at North Dakota State, where he played more on the outside. But he did a nice job today on one particular play. They're running a zone to the left side out of the gun. And he does a really nice job of getting past the line of scrimmage, getting to the heels of the offensive lineman, and then just chasing that play down from the backside, getting to the running back. The only thing he really could have done better there was to take a shot at the ball to try to knock it out from behind. But other than that, it was a really nice play there from Spencer Waggy, a player who I've been really impressed with throughout the process. Not sure if he's going to be able to make the 53-man roster, but I think he's going to be right there. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Javon Kinlaw. I didn't put him in the write-up that I did for the newspaper, but Javon Kinlaw, he looked good today as well. Kinlaw not going to be a starter, but I was watching the defensive linemen go through their drills in the individual portion, and you can tell that a guy like Eric Armstead and Javon Hargrave, they know that they're starters. They're going through the drill, and they're going about three-quarter speed, maybe a little bit faster. They're pacing themselves. It's day one. Javon Kinlaw gets in there. He knows he's fighting for a spot on this roster. He knows he's fighting for his NFL career, and he just burns his way through the drill. And it was really, exceptionally quick and fast. Looks good. Looks like he's in good shape. With him, it's all about that knee staying healthy. But Javon Kinlaw looking good today as well. Let me see what I've got going on over in the comment section. We got 181 people in here. If you guys can do me a favor, hit the like button for me if you haven't done so already. Hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe as well, because that helps out. And then turn on your notifications, because these shows, I don't have them set at a set time. It just depends on when I get the write-up done for the newspaper. Then I'll jump on here. So if you got your notifications on, it'll let you know when we're going live, and that way you can jump over. And then if you miss it live, you can still watch it later as well. That's one of the nice pieces about YouTube. You can watch it whenever. So appreciate that. Appreciate everybody taking the time to watch this. Let's look at a couple more before I head out. We got Kalia Davis, another one. This was a 2022 draft pick. He's in his first training camp. Remember, Davis was taken by the 49ers last season, missed all of the year because of a knee injury that he suffered during his senior year at Central Florida. Today, he looked really good during those individual drills. Those same individual drills I was telling you about with Javon Kinlaw. Watching Kalia Davis go through that, he's extremely quick and fast as well. He's a little bit on the shorter side, but he moves really well. He has a really good bend to his game. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. And it didn't just happen in the individuals. It translated over to the team period for Kalia Davis. He actually had one play in particular, the play that I mentioned earlier on, where Trey Lance had some pressure up the middle, moved out to his right, and then took off for a scramble. Well, the pressure that was in his face up the middle was coming from Kalia Davis. Kalia Davis, during that portion, got upfield, got into the backfield, forced Lance to move. Really nice play from Kalia Davis. I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses as we finally get a chance to really see him. We saw him a little bit last year when they cleared him for a few weeks but we don't get to really watch all of practice at that point as a media group. So to actually see Kalia Davis on the field today, the first time we've really been able to see him go through a practice, he looked really good, and he looks like a player that's really going to be able to challenge for a spot on this team, be a nice depth piece inside. Clellan Ferrell, talked about him already. The free agent acquisition, getting into the backfield to get a sack of Sam Darnold today. He's competing to be that primary backup behind Nick Bosa as part of the Flyers' defensive rotation. Solid first start for him. A couple other guys on the defense with big plays. Taylor Hawkins, safety, broke up. He's one of the guys that caused a pass breakup of Trey Lance, breaking up a pass that was intended for rookie tight end Cameron Latu. Avery Young doing the same thing on a pass out into the right flat. That seemed to be the day where all these pass breakups were occurring, was in the right flat. Avery Young doing that to knock away one of the throws for Brandon Allen as well. Wide receiver Tate Martin showed off his speed today. He got open. It would have been a really nice big play down the left sideline. He had beat the defensive back down that left side. He beat Trey Swilling on the play. He was open, big play, and Brandon Allen airmailed him. Just way too flat on the throw and missed it. Got to get more air under that one. Let the receiver run underneath it. So a big miss there. Tate Martin had it. Ross Dwelly's fighting for a roster spot. Today caught a couple of short throws. He had one of those from Lance, the other from Darnold. So a nice couple of completions for Ross Dwelly. And I already mentioned the Christian McCaffrey piece in terms of he was participated in the individual period and then skipped the rest of practice. Was an observer there working with the running backs, helping them, the young guys in the running back room. Braden Willis, thank you, Jordan. Willis had a completion today. He looks good. He's an interesting character, interesting player, more of a move tight end, but he looked good today, and we'll see how he continues to progress throughout his rookie season, but definitely has quicker. He's between him and Cameron Latu, he's definitely the quicker player, but I don't think that was really unexpected when you looked at the two. So overall, not a bad one there. Also, M. Jordan wanted to know if I think that Davis has similarities to DJ Jones. The answer to that is yes. Both of them a little bit on the shorter side, a little bit on the thicker side, right? Those kind of short, thick guys. Those also tend to be good nose tackles type of players. And so, yeah, I can see similarities between Kalia Davis and DJ Jones for sure. Paul and Tracy has guess for the third linebacker, Burks, Leno, too early. I think Leno is the one you're talking about. That's the player the 49ers signed today, the linebacker they signed coming from the XFL. The third linebacker for the 49ers, if I had to put a bet down today, the third linebacker for the 49ers would be Oren Burks. He played some linebacker last year there for him. I think that he's going to be that starter as the third linebacker when the 49ers are in their base package. So I think that's the direction that they're going to go there. Gregus Khan says that the first round of the draft is set up for an offensive tackle next season. I think you're right. Kevin Edelman wants to know, is Lance number 2 on the depth chart? It's hard to say no at this point, right? Because Kyle Shanahan came out yesterday and he said that on the days when Brock Purdy is on the field, he will be taking the reps with the first group. Lance has an opening here in a way because he has a couple of days early on in camp where Brock Purdy's not going to be participating. But I would say right now, if you're asking me what the depth chart looks like without having anything official, I would say Purdy at 1, Lance at 2, Darnold at 3, and then you got Brandon Allen. I think that's the way if they were going to put out a depth chart for preseason week 1. I think that's what it would look like as of today. I don't really know if that's going to change. We'll see. I listened to the interview, if you haven't done it already, the interview with Tim Kawakami that he did with Kyle Shanahan. And listening to that, I came away with the feeling that Brock Purdy's the 49ers starting quarterback unless he just goes out and just isn't the same guy that we saw last year. If Brock Purdy is able to step right in and play at the level that he played last season, maybe even improve a little bit, he's going to be the starter and then everybody else is fighting for the backup spot. That's just the way that I read the situation. But I could be wrong on that when we get there. But I'd say as of today, Kevin, you've got Purdy, Lance, Darnold, Allen, and that's the way that I see it. Uh, SoCal Niner fan wants to know if the Wilkes backfield looks improved. We haven't really seen enough of it yet. It's the same group that we saw last year. Lenore and Ward. The only difference is in the slot, you don't have Jimmy Ward. It's now Isaiah Oliver, which I think is an upgrade when it comes to the pass defense. Beyond that, at this point, I think it's way too early to predict what that's going to look like. I do think as we go through and we start getting towards the season, you're going to see a defense that's going to bring more pressure. There's going to be more design pressure in terms of blitzes and those types of things. That's one of Wilkes' kind of the way that he's been in the past. I don't see that's going to change very much here in San Francisco. I still think he's going to be a guy that's going to want to bring pressure quite often. So we'll see how that progresses. I think our first really good look at that's going to be out in Las Vegas against the Raiders and Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think we'll see some things maybe a little bit different there, and we'll see how that all plays out. Jair Brown, he's looking good. He's again rookie. He's fighting his way onto the roster. He's fighting for his spot out there. Got some video of him moving around. He moves very well. It's going to take a little bit of time, I think, for him to understand the system and get to that point. I would expect to see Jair Brown be a guy very similar to Talanoa Hufanga once we get to the season. If you remember, Hufanga as a rookie was the third safety, and he still played quite often. He wasn't starting, but he was on the field quite a bit, and I think that's what we're going to see out of Jair Brown here this season. Yeah, Dragus, that's what Kyle Shanahan said. It's going to be tough for Lance or Darnold to surpass Purdy based off of practice and preseason and all those types of things. So we'll see. And always drip 805 says Trey Lance starting versus the Raiders. I would not be surprised at all. It would not surprise me. I would not be shocked at all if Trey Lance starts versus the Raiders and Sam Darnold comes in as the second, and you don't see Brock Purdy at all in that game. That would not surprise me one bit. They're going to try to have to get these guys as many reps as possible. Those preseason games can be one way to do it. As Kyle Shanahan has said in the past, especially the Raiders week, he gets more out of practice, especially in the situation where you're going against another team like they're going to be against the Raiders, than he gets out of the actual games. So if Brock Purdy is fully healthy and performing at a fine level, I don't think that there's any reason that they would play him at all against the Raiders, just like last year. Remember, Trey Lance was the starting quarterback for the 49ers in 2022. They went out to Minnesota. He got all the reps against the Vikings, and then when it came time for the game, he was on the sideline in street clothes. I would not be surprised at all, always drip, if Trey Lance is the starting quarterback against the Raiders. It doesn't matter because it is the preseason. We got Robert Tuncap says, I'm Jack, not Larry, but I do a show with Larry once a week, and we're still going to try to work that in during training camp. But Jack, why did Debo cut the Brock question off and talk about how much Lance improved? I don't think he did that at all. He was asked a question. Some things came up about Trey Lance. I think when it comes to a guy like Debo, right? Debo believes in both of them. Debo has said it himself that they have two quarterbacks that they feel like they can win with. He said on the radio. Remember the interview when Debo Samuel hung up on the guy from CBS Radio? He said in that interview that Trey Lance looked much improved. He looked much improved during OTAs and minicamp. He said the same thing again today. He also said that he feels like Brock Purdy can come out and play exactly the same way that he did last season and do it for a full season. So when it comes to the Debo Samuel, he's going to support. He's like, if you saw today, he's like George Kittle. He's going to support whoever's the guy under center, whoever's throwing him the ball. That is his favorite quarterback, and that's the way that I read his comments today. That was good stuff there from Debo. Got another one. Fernando says, do you think they need to improve in the right tackle position? I do not know if McKivitz is the guy. What do you think? Fernando, what I'm going to say on this one is I think they're okay at right tackle. I don't know about McKivitz, if he's going to be an upgrade right now over Mike McGlinchey. I wouldn't expect it. If Mike McGlinchey can give him the same type of production as, if McKivitz, excuse me, can give them the same type of production as Mike McGlinchey out at right tackle for the $1.5 to $2 million they're going to give him, I think the Foreigners will be just fine, especially when you have Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, all around you. You know, Burford, Banks, and Brendel all were first-year starters last year. First-year starters for the first time in their careers. So the expectation you would think is all those guys should improve with the experience that they got last year. And I would think that if they improve, it's going to help McKivitz out. And the other part to remember with McKivitz, they've won games with McKivitz. It's only 2, I get it, but one of those games wasn't even Trent Williams on the other side. It wasn't even Mike McGlinchey. It was Tom Compton in one of those games that they won with McKivitz playing left tackle. They won a game last year with McKivitz on one side and McGlinchey on the other. So I don't know if McKivitz is going to be a star. He's not going to be a stud. He's not. I don't think he's going to be anybody who's going to be writing stories about how great he's playing this year. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll have to do that at some point. But I do think he's going to be solid, and I don't think it's going to be all that. I would prefer for it to be Mike McGlinchey, but $16, $17 million a year with everything else they have to pay just isn't going to work out. That was a mistake that I made in kind of looking at the offseason where they were going to go. Let's see what else we got. Want to see if we got any. Always Drip says, did Latu stand out to you today? I know it's his first day of training camp, but do you truly believe we're going to have starter rookies at tight end besides Kittlejack? Latu didn't stand out today. I wouldn't say that either of the rookie tight ends stood out today, though. As far as having the guys behind them, I think there's a possibility that you could have, if the Foreigners go with only 2 tight ends, you have Kittle, Latu, and Willis be your 3 tight ends. If they go with 4, I would go with a guy like Ross Dwelly because of what he does on special teams. So we'll see kind of the direction that all plays out. Again, it's day one. You just said it's day one. I think that having Cam Latu and Willis be 2 of your top backups would be okay if you get some of the other stuff around that. Hitch49 wants me to show some live and like the video. His content is awesome. Thank you very much, Hit. Yeah, please show me some love. I think that's what he wants to say. Show me some love. Like the video. If you guys can do that, that'd be great. Honest assessment of Sam, like I said, he was okay today. One nice ball down the middle that was complete. One nice ball down the right sideline that was knocked away by a great play by the safety. Beyond that, I think it's a tight competition right now between the other 2 guys. So there you have it. That's kind of where we are. I'm encouraged by I'm encouraged by the quarterback situation. I've said this before. I'm looking forward to seeing how Brock Purdy looks. I think with Brock Purdy out there, you have a hell of a starter if he's fully healthy and ready to go. But it doesn't matter in the case, and when it comes to the competition between Lance and Darnold and so on, if Trey Lance is able to show that he is much improved, if Sam Darnold is much improved, the 49ers need to have as many good quarterbacks as they can. They need these guys to ball out, whether it's because they're going to be on their roster or they can maybe find a trade partner for them or however it works out. They need all these guys to play really well, and I think that's the main thing. So I don't think they have any I'm encouraged by the quarterback situation with what we've seen so far. Long ways to go, though. Day one, encouraging. I can go back here tomorrow and say that I'm completely discouraged. So I don't know. We'll see how it works. But that's it. It has been about 49 minutes. I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in. If you guys can do me a favor, please make sure you hit the like button. And then if you're watching this and you're not already a subscriber to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. Like I said, I'll be doing these videos after every training camp practice here from Levi Stadium or when I'm out in Las Vegas with the team there. The times are going to vary, so make sure you have that notification button on so that it lets you know when it is time to turn on the channel and get ready to go. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back here tomorrow. Keep it locked here into the channel for all your news and information. Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.